No royal court is ever free of horrors that make the skin crawl. In the shadow of the throne, many lose the ability to distinguish between friend and foe, between the accused and the innocent. And of course, most conspiracies within palaces are crafted through feminine cunning, or at least with no small participation from it, woven with the intricate spite of women. In this video, dear viewers of our channel Harem Motivation, we will explore the most chilling conspiracies ever witnessed in the Ottoman court. Before we begin, we invite you, especially if this is your first time watching us, to subscribe, activate the notification bell, and leave a comment with your suggestions for future topics. There is no doubt that the darkest intrigues of the harem began with the rise of women's power in the palace. This started in the era of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, when his wife, Hurrem Sultan, sought to place one of her sons upon the throne. Night and day she wove plot after plot to bring down the Sultan's eldest son, Prince Mustafa. In truth, the conspiracies began even before the princes reached the age of succession. Hurrem herself endured beating, kicking, and humiliation at the hands of Mahidevran Sultan, who insulted her and disfigured her face, a scandal even foreign ambassadors wrote about at the time. Matters grew worse as Hurrem's sons grew older, especially with a state law that allowed the ruling prince to execute his brothers if he feared they posed a threat. Hurrem joined forces with her son-in-law, Rustam Pasha. Several letters bear witness that the Grand Vizier repeatedly attempted to turn Sultan Suleiman against his son Mustafa. In the end, the plot succeeded. Forged evidence was placed before the Sultan, leading to the execution of the innocent prince before his father's very eyes. The horror of this conspiracy was not Hurrem's victory. It was a father killing his own son with his own hands, a moment so earth-shaking it reverberated throughout the entire empire. While Safia contributed to the killing of 19 young princes under the legal practice of the time, meant to prevent internal conflict over the throne, she orchestrated another dreadful intrigue in Topkapi Palace. In a similar fashion, she convinced her son, Sultan Mehmed III, to execute his own son, Prince Mahmud. But Mahmud's execution was different. It occurred after a message surfaced between the prince and his mother, Halima Sultan, stating that a diviner predicted Sultan Mehmed III would die and Mahmud would ascend the throne. Safia, fearing Halima's rise to power, turned her son against his own child, ending with the execution of the brave prince by order of his father and design of his grandmother. We move now to another conspiracy, among the most horrific of the harem. This incident is one of the strangest recorded in history. Mothers do not normally conspire against their sons, and only a handful of women, like Al-Khizran against her son Caliph al-Hadi, Queen Wuzatin of China, or Agrippina the Younger with Nero, had ever committed such acts. These cases are rare, which is why they stand out so dramatically in history. Kosum Sultan ultimately crossed the darkest threshold a mother can cross. By the mid-1640s, her son, Sultan Ibrahim I, who had spent nearly 23 years in the prince's cage before ascending the throne in 1640, began to display alarming signs of instability. His fits of paranoia, violent impulses, and reckless extravagance pushed the empire toward the edge of collapse. Ministers whispered of disaster, the Janissaries murmured of revolt, and the ulema debated whether the Sultan's mind had slipped beyond redemption. At the heart of this turmoil stood Kosum Sultan, the formidable Valid Sultan whose influence had shaped the empire for decades. When the empire's dignitaries approached her in 1648, pleading that Ibrahim's erratic rule threatened the very survival of the dynasty, Kosum faced a choice no mother should ever confront. Yet, ambition, fear, and a lifetime spent navigating the machinery of power had hardened her heart. She began meeting secretly with the Grand Vizier, members of the Imperial Council, and high-ranking Janissary Agas. Messages were exchanged in the dead of night, oaths sealed behind the heavy doors of the old palace. Kosum herself approved the fatwa issued by Sheikh al-Islam Abdurrahim Effendi, declaring Ibrahim unfit to rule, an edict that would strip her own son of the throne. On August 8, 1648, the conspirators moved. Ibrahim was seized in his chambers, screaming accusations at shadows and begging for mercy from guards unmoved by his pleas. Qasem did not appear. She remained in the harem, listening to the echoes of a downfall she had orchestrated with her own hands. Days later, on August 18th, the final act was carried out. The executioners entered the dim cell where the deposed sultan lay and strangled him with the traditional bowstring. It was a moment unprecedented in Ottoman history. A Valide sultan who had risen from slavery to absolute power, delivering her own son to death to save the state. The following conspiracy sent violent shockwaves through the empire. Led by Kosem and countered by Turhan Sultan in a reverse plot, it ended with the brutal murder of Kosem Sultan herself, strangled with a curtain and stripped of her jewelry while still alive, leaving behind a legacy of both virtue and cruelty. Its true horror lies in the fact that this was the first and only time in Ottoman history that a Valide Sultan, a queen mother, was killed in such a savage manner. Nurbanu Sultan, too, was involved in several conspiracies, the most dreadful being her attempt to convince her son that his favored concubine, Sophia, had bewitched him, causing him sexual dysfunction. This plunged the harem into a cold war that Nurbanu ultimately won after curing her son of the ailment he suffered. But she shattered Sophia's heart by introducing new concubines into her son's chambers. Some rumors claim that Sophia later poisoned Nurbanu in revenge, though no proof ever surfaced. Many more conspiracies erupted in the harem of Sultan Abdulhamid I, where several women died under mysterious circumstances, and more than one prince perished without clear cause. And no matter how terrifying and grotesque the intrigues of the harem may seem, they were only one face of the Ottoman dynasty's misery. There existed another, quieter, far more suffocating face, one in which no blood was shed by the sword, yet souls were slaughtered slowly. Behind sealed doors, away from the janissary's gaze and the clamor of the concubines. There, the princess faced a fate more crushing than any woman's intrigue. The cage system. A system that turned the lives of heirs into long prisons, making a prince a captive long before he ever became a sultan. And thus begins another tale no less haunting than the conspiracies before it. How miserable it was to be born